2 days. That's how far away we are from early voting starting in Prince George's County. At the top of the ballot is the county executive's race, the highest ranking elected official in the county. 11 people want the job, and it's an office once held by Angela Alsobrooks, who is now in the U.S. Senate. We've invited all the candidates to join us live in studio so we can talk about the issues impacting you at home. Today we are joined by Democratic candidate Aisha Braveboy. She is currently the county state's attorney, and she also served in the Maryland House of Delegates for 8 years. Ms. Braveboy, welcome. We're happy to have you.
Thank you so much for having me.
I wanted to dive right in and just ask you, why do you want this job?
Why do I want this job? Well, I love Prince George's County. I lived in the county most of my life. I went to public schools. I graduated from the University of Maryland and then Howard University School of Law. And I dedicated the majority of my career to serving the people of Prince George's County because I know its potential. I know the beauty of the county. I know the possibilities for young people who grew up in the county, and I know the opportunities even for those who are in their careers or who are retiring to really live well. And so I really want everyone to have a quality of life, and I want everyone to, of course, want to stay in the county too.
I wanted to just start with this. You had a major endorsement, Maryland Governor
Yes.
Wes Moore. What would you set into motion in your first 100 days?
In my first 100 days, I will absolutely work with our governor to send a very strong message to those impacted federal workers that we care about them, that we will provide emergency resources for them, assist with job placement, which I think is extremely important for those who find themselves without employment now. There are opportunities in state and local government as well as in the private sector, and we will work hard to ensure that they are well positioned to continue to earn a living. In addition to that, I will clean up Prince George's County. We are tired, and I can say that as a constituent, someone who lives there. We're tired of seeing all the trash on our roadways, both state roadways and county roads. And so working strategically with the governor to clean up Prince George's County is essential.
Well, let's talk about that because Prince George's County has one of the highest property tax rates in Maryland, but county residents often complain about snow removal, trash removal in some instances, and I wanted to take you back to that January snowstorm that was a mess, an abomination for many of the residents who couldn't get their streets plowed. What would you do differently?
Well, what I would do differently is what the practice has always been. Set up a command center, bring all of the agencies that are have any role in assisting with removing the snow or emergency response together in one command center, along with our members of our county council, because oftentimes residents are talking to their council members about their issues around snow removal, trash removal, and all of the other things. And so having that open line of communication is key so that we can strategically deploy the equipment to those areas that are impacted.
What happened last time, in your opinion? Was it a leadership failure? Was it a logistical failure? What do you think?
I think it was all of the above. And the thing that most concerned me was the lack of communication between agencies of government and elected officials. It's important that we recognize that we have to be partners, and that's one of the reasons why I'm really fortunate to have been endorsed by so many members of the county council. They recognize that, you know, running the county is not a one-person show. It has to be a collective effort.
Let's talk about Prince George's County facing a budget crisis, a $170 million deficit. How would you even begin to balance the budget?
Well, we have to really do an audit of our spending to determine, you know, whether or not we are spending efficiently and effectively.
Sure.
And there may be areas where we can reduce spending depending on whether or not the services that are being provided are effective services.
Question, if I may, does the county do an audit every year?
The county does an audit, the county council does audit the county government spending that typically takes place during the budget season, which is coming up. Okay. But when I say an audit, really an audit of priorities. You know, what is important to us? Obviously, public safety is extremely important. Obviously, education. But we also have to ensure that we're spending effectively in senior services as well as for those who have disabilities.
Well, I'm curious, again, I wanted to take you back to that audit because I hear you kind of saying philosophically, overarchingly, we have to do audits here and there, but tangibly, how do you plan to prioritize, and which areas would you audit specifically? Which would you take kind of a fine-tooth comb to?
I really want to know how we're spending in public education, making sure that our the money that goes to our school system, which is 62% of our budget, is being spent effectively, is really focused on student achievement. Certainly we want to make sure that the employees of the school system are taken care of and that they are paid fairly, but we also want to make sure that at the end of the day, the product that we are delivering is an excellent product. And so it's really important that we focus in on that.
You said something really interesting. So 62% of Prince George's County budget is dedicated specifically to public education.
Correct.
It's still coming up short in so many areas. Are we dedicating enough to education? Do we need more? Do we need less? What would you propose?
What I would propose is, how can we be effective? Looking at the programs that we're doing that are actually effective, that are raising student achievement. One of the things that I'm very concerned about is how we address our kids with special needs. Sometimes we don't know that they have special needs in terms of education until it's far too late in their careers as students. And so it's important that we know up front what learning style our kids have, so that we can place them in the appropriate classes and give them the appropriate services.
As I take you back to funding, the blueprint for Maryland's future significantly increases public education funding. It was passed by the state legislature without a designated revenue source. What do we do with this?
Yeah, I believe that was a huge mistake by the legislature. Certainly, having been in the legislature, I understand the desire to want to have certain standards, right? And I think that the ideas behind the blueprint are great, but if you have ideas and no funding source, how really dedicated are you to those principles? And then to pass that along to local jurisdictions that don't have the same flexibility as the state has to raise revenues, I think was a huge mistake as well. And so I will take the lead that the governor has taken, which is basically, let's pare down in some areas for now while we're going through this budget crisis. Let's absolutely fund our educational system a little more than we have been, but let's focus that on areas that we know will produce greater student achievement.
Well, to that point, tangibly, we need revenue, right? And
we
so
absolutely need revenue.
You have said you're not going to raise taxes.
We are not going to raise property taxes. That is correct.
How? How is that? How can you possibly do that with a $170 million deficit? Where does the money come from?
Well, we're going to have to look at our spending, and we've done this before. The county government has been in deficits before, and so we just had to reduce our spending. Also, the state legislature right now, they're looking at some potential revenue raising mechanisms, and so we're going to follow what the legislature is doing as well. But I think we have to all learn to live within our means.
Logically, I think of property taxes would be the logical thing to go up. The county controls those. And so I know the other thing we could consider was, like, they tax on bags, things like that. Is that something in terms of generating revenue that would be enough?
We are nickel and diming people who can ill afford it, right? The people who are most impacted by bag taxes are our seniors and those who have low income. So we can't do that. And if we raise property taxes, which we are not going to do under my leadership, then we're going to lose residents because they're not going to want to stay in a county where they feel like they're being overtaxed and underserviced. And I just can't do that.
Let's talk about juvenile crime. It's been a major concern. We know carjackings, car thefts, they're primarily committed by juveniles. I know you're well aware of this. So where do we go here? Some people argue for increased investment in community programs. Others say we need a tougher stance on crime. Where do you fall on this?
So I've been tough on crime. As you know, Prince George's County has experienced a significant decrease in all categories of crime, including carjackings. We're down 62% in carjackings this year. So we have done a really good job working with my partners to bring really strong cases to court, give really tough sentences. But that alone is not going to address the issue of juvenile crime. Young people who are not in school, who are not getting an education are often those who are out committing offenses. And so I absolutely will remain tough on crime, but I also believe we need to fund those services that will support these young people and ensure that they are in school.
Well, I wanted to press you here just a little because PG County Police investigated 113 homicides in 2024. That was slightly down from 120. So to your point, adult crime is down, but juvenile crime, we're still seeing it continue. You know, and I've heard you say before in other interviews, if people don't feel safe, that's the problem, right? And so how do you, on a personal level, one-to-one, how do you make people feel more comfortable, given that this is still a problem?
Well, you know, any crime is a problem. Any one incident that impacts anybody, for me, is an issue. However, if you go out to the communities like I do, when we talk about crime and the numbers and how we're doing, the community is very receptive. So I think really going out more, talking about all of the advances we've made in terms of how we are investigating offenses, how we're prosecuting them, the tough sentences we are getting. I think that's what makes communities feel good about it. They know that something will likely happen, right? There's not ever going to be a day where there's zero crime, but they also want to know that we're working together, which we are, and that we are effective, and we are very effective.
What about, you know, public safety requires personnel? As you're well aware, Prince George's County Police is reporting they're still trying to fill a significant amount of vacancies. My number is 300. What's your plan to help with recruitment efforts?
Well, we have to really go to our high schools. We have to go to our local colleges. Recruitment is about who has the most at stake, and it's really the people who live here. And so we can begin to recruit young people who are in our schools. They will have that commitment and that dedication to the county that they grew up in. So we have not done, I think, a really good job of doing that focused recruitment, starting in middle school and then high school and even into college. And I can tell you, I'm an adjunct professor at Bowie State University, and I always invite our public safety team to come out and do a virtual career fair. And I've had my students who've actually become a part of the police department, and that makes me feel really good.
That's awesome. All right, I'm just going to float this out here.
Sure.
Let's talk about the commanders.
Yes.
Okay, we know that DC is aggressively pursuing them, trying to move forward, get them to the district. Where are you on this? Are you trying to keep them? Are you trying to replace them? Where are we in this spectrum?
Well, let me say, after 33 years of what I consider torture as a Commanders fan,
Sure.
They need to stay in Prince George's County.
Okay.
And I'm going to work with our governor to put forth the best proposal that we can collectively to entice them to stay here. You know, when they moved into Prince George's County, I think that, you know, the administration at the time, along with at that time, I guess it was called a different name, we won't mention that other name, I think did not do a good job of ensuring that the area around the stadium was built out. But that's an opportunity we have now to build a world-class stadium, to bring in business and recreation and everything else. So we're going to work with our governor. And let me just tell you this about Governor Moore. He's dogged.
Yeah.
He really wants to keep the Commanders here, and we're going to work together.
Well, you got to put your money where your mouth is, right? And so here's where my next question is. We know the lease does not end until 2027, but the Commanders are a foot and a half out the door to DC. What do you think it would take for them to just be, you know, hooked and kept in Landover? What tangible thing can you tell our audience right now we could do as soon as you get into office?
Well, what I can tell you is what I'm doing now, which is talking with our governor, talking about the proposal that the state is going to put forward, and then commit to matching the proposal of the state to entice them to stay here. You know, the state provided a $400 million investment into the Blue Line corridor for Prince George's County. And so the Commanders is a huge part of that redevelopment effort. So we have resources now available to us to entice them to stay. And it's not just about them staying, it's about them spurring the development around that stadium so we can create an entertainment district, a retail district, shopping, restaurants, all of those things.
So I'm hearing you say the Commanders are among our biggest constituents and we're not out of this fight yet.
We are not out of this fight.
Okay. Lastly, as we begin to wrap up, running out of time here, what do you want our viewers to know about you? And mostly why you want this job?
What I want them to know about me is that I am someone who they can trust. When I say I'm going to do something, I do it. if I can't do something, I'm going to let you know that too. I think the hardest part about being an elected official is telling someone something that they don't want to hear. But I am someone who believes always that if you tell the truth, people will at least believe you and believe in you. And so I would like to let them know that I love this county. I appreciate all of the advantages that I received as a resident of the county, as someone who attended the public schools. And so I believe in the promise of Prince George's County, and I want that promise for every single person in our wonderful county.
All right, Ms. Braveboy, certainly appreciate your time today. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Yes. And just a reminder about some important dates coming up. Early voting for the special primary begins this Wednesday, February 26th, that will end on March 3rd. And election day for the primary is the next day on March 4th. And tomorrow at 4:30, I'll be joined by Democratic candidate Alonzo Washington. He is currently a member of the Maryland State Senate. We'll be back.